Alright guys, welcome to technically day 2 of biology. So we are in our last unit about endothermic vertebrates. You have 3 videos total lecture videos total that will be on your test, which is Wednesday, May 13th at 11 a.m. It will be the intro and bird video, this video which is on mammals, and then your third video which is going to be on your class-picked animals. So at the beginning of quarantine I asked you to send a suggestion of what animal we should study, so I went back to that list and there's a whole separate video for that. So that will be on your test as well. There's not many animals. Not all of you sent in suggestions, so I think there's maybe 5 of them that we're going to go over. And so all of that information will be on your test. And then I will be posting a test review video for you Monday morning. So I apologize. I know that I said that I would have these available to you guys on Thursday night. But I unfortunately had a migraine, and so I had to work through that. So apologize for that. But everything that you need that's new content you have today through the weekend and Monday and Tuesday to study. And I even made sure not to go into too much depth with things because I know that this is a huge topic to cover in a very, very short amount of time. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So this is my very, very, very favorite topic in biology. I love mammals. More specifically, I actually love big cats, which is funny because I love all animals, and my parents, we've always had cats growing up, domesticated cats. But I actually prefer dogs over domesticated cats, but big cats like tigers and cheetahs and bobcats and all of those I just absolutely love. But all mammals I just think are absolutely amazing and wonderful, and the reason why I got into studying biology in the first place. Luna, no ma'am. Okay, so how do we classify mammals? Because a lot of times people will ask, what's a mammal and what's not a mammal? So there's a lot of confusion there. And people will classify things like whales as fish, and whales are actually mammals, they're not fish. So how do we classify mammals? Well, there's a couple of things that we go through, and the first thing is hair, whether or not they have hair. So we kind of go through a checklist. Most have 2 layers of fur that protect and insulate, so blubber does count as one of those. We do have unique mammals, specifically called monotremes. These types of mammals can actually lay eggs, because one of the things with mammals is that they typically have live births, so they're viviparous, and we'll talk about it in the next slide as well. But monotremes are a type of mammal that can lay eggs. There's a couple of these. It's the echidna and the platypus. So I have the platypus pictured right here. Perry the platypus is a mammal. He is a monotreme, and he is capable, well, not him because he's a male, but monotremes are capable of laying eggs, which is very different than other mammals. So when we talk about mammals, we know that they're endothermic. They're able to keep an internal balance of their temperature. So they don't rely on the outside environment in order to raise their internal body temperature or to lower it. So that means that they have to have, they use a lot of energy. Remember we talked about with birds, and they have a very high metabolism. So they use hair and blubber for insulation. So as you can see with the orca on the top right, he's going to use blubber because clearly they don't have hair. Many pant to release heat, so you see this all the time with dogs. You see this even with cats. And some release heat through their ears. So I think dogs do this to a certain degree. But I know a lot of mammals do this, and actually if you touch their ears, they feel kind of hot. So I'm pretty sure that dogs do it, but the biggest way that dogs release heat is through panting. So heat is produced by metabolism, so they must eat frequently in order to maintain this body heat. And they have relatively large brains. Sorry, my mammal is freaking out over here. Luna, no, leave it. So they have a relatively large brain. So a lot of mammals are very, very intelligent. So I have a couple of lists here. So we've got, you don't need to know these lists, but just be familiar with examples of what mammals are. So we've got zebra, we've got a little bunny rabbit, we've got apes and monkeys, we've got seals, we've got deer and bats, and Luna. Okay, sorry, I had to move inside because Luna was going to eat my neighbor's dog. Okay, so not really. She's very sweet, but she's much larger than my neighbor's dog. All right, so these are just examples of different types of mammals that we have in this class. Most have really good hearing and really good smell. And they do have weaker eyesight than birds, because if you think about it, birds are going to need better eyesight because more than likely they're up in the air actually searching for their prey, or their prey is much smaller than them. So think about birds versus worms, or birds versus rats, or whatever it is. Depending on the size of the bird, the prey is going to be extremely smaller than them. Whereas mammals, I mean, take a look at this lion with this gazelle. That's not a hard thing to spot. If he's standing in the brush or whatever, camouflage, which they do, that might be a little bit trickier, but that's when hearing and smell can come into play, which mammals have very good hearing and smell. So something that is really cool that I find is that the eye placement often indicates whether or not this is a top predator or a top prey. And what I mean by that is that a top predator is going to be an animal that more likely than not is going to rule that environment. So obviously we would be a predator to this lion here. So there's always a predator, so to speak. But in his environment, he is a top predator. He kind of rules the jungle there. And then the top prey would be an animal that more than likely is trying to run from a bunch of different stuff a lot of times. So kind of a rule of thumb that we use is with predators, eyes in front, go to hunt. With prey, eyes on side, run and hide. So as you can see with that lion, he's got his eyes in front like we do. But then there's animals that have eyes on the side of them. So if you were to have an eyeball here and an eyeball there, that more than likely indicates that that is a top prey. So you will often see pictures like this where eyes in front, go to hunt, is actually chasing prey, eyes on side, run and hide. So that's kind of a fun little turn of phrase in order to remember that. So most have an endoskeleton with 4 limbs. Remember we talked about endoskeletons? So these guys are just the best in my opinion. So let's talk about mammalian reproduction. So we've got mammary glands. That's one of the big things that separates mammals. So they actually nurse. So in the top right, you can see that baby cow is nursing. Humans do this as well. And even though I would not classify us in all of this, technically according to scientists, they would classify us into the mammal category. But I think that we're elevated above animals. So I don't think that we need categories like this. But scientifically speaking, you would be classified as a mammal. Viviparous, which means that they have internal fertilization and that they're going to give live births, except for monotremes. Remember, platypuses don't do that, and echidnas don't. Then we have what's called, so we're about to break down, hold on, I'm moving forward and back. We're about to break down into 3 separate groups based on how they carry their babies. So we have placentals, then we have marsupials, and then monotremes. Let's talk about each. So placentals are going to be like us. So the embryos are going to attach to the wall of the mother's uterus via placenta. So they use that placenta for nourishment. So we have the placenta, then we have the umbilical cord, and then it's attached to the baby, just like we do. So that means mom is going to not only have to deliver the baby, but she's also going to have to deliver the placenta. With placentals, they will have a long gestation period before birth because it's kind of a slower process as far as growing from a little embryo that's attached to a placenta. And again, the placenta is where you're getting nourishment from. So just like with humans, these types of mammals, when they eat something, it's all going to go to the placenta and feed the baby. So it actually really is important what you eat when you're pregnant because it all goes to the baby. The one that's notorious for being pregnant is actually elephants, and you do need to know this. Elephants have the longest gestation period of any mammal. So I want to say it's over like 600 days, which is like roughly 2 years. So that's a crazy amount of time. I was pregnant for 9 months, like all women, or most women are pregnant for 9 months. So there's a 40-week gestation period for humans. And then for elephants, let me make sure, elephants gestation period. Let me make sure that I told you guys right. Yes, so it's so the African elephant is 22 months and the Asian elephant is 18 to 22 months. So that's almost 2 years. So when you think about it, human gestation is not even a year, and elephant gestation is 2 years. That's crazy amount of time. I cannot imagine being pregnant for that long. All right, marsupials. So they're going to have a short gestation, and what they do is they don't have placentas like elephants or humans or dogs or cats. They are going to journey to the mother's pouch in order to continue development. So it's actually kind of weird looking. Not when they're older like this. With this kangaroo here, who is a marsupial, it's actually really cute because it's like, oh, she's sitting in her mom's pocket. But when they're actually like itty-bitty and they look like little pink rats, still cute, still beautiful, still God's creation. But it does look a little bit bizarre because they're in mama's pouch like that, and they continue their development. Then we have monotremes, which have very short gestation, and they lay eggs. So this is an echidna. Right, so mammals in the environment. So I included a picture of my sweet Luna girl. She's over there. Because we're going to talk about it in a second. So mammals are found in almost every habitat, and many have been domesticated. So dogs are technically domesticated wolves, although this has been centuries upon centuries upon centuries of breeding and microevolution and adaptation for the animal. So, yes, my dog is related to a wolf, but she is very domesticated. So we use animals, but more specifically, we use mammals more often than not to help us in our life, whether it's just to find joy. So dogs, if your dog doesn't like protect your house or provide some type of service like a service dog, then your dog really is there just to be an addition to your family, just to add love into your life. Cats, I had cats growing up my entire life. They didn't add nothing to my family except for cuddles and cuteness, right? So sometimes we domesticate animals just to have another snuggle partner. But other times we domesticate animals to actually help us. So horses are a great example. Mules are a great example. Donkeys, any animal from the Bible. No, but we use animals, and specifically mammals, to help us. So we have sheep, pigs, all of these different types of animals that come alongside us and actually help us. So hunting seasons, a lot of times people are either pro-hunting like super pro hunting or they're super anti-hunting. And I think I have a very reasonable response to that. I think that you can be a little bit of both. What people don't realize is hunting seasons help control the population of the animal, and it actually helps the animal and it helps the environment that it lives in, because there is something called overcrowding of a species, and when that overcrowding happens, there's actually less food available because there's more of that species eating the food, and so actually more of them die off from starvation because there's not enough food because they have overbred. So this is true for deer, this is true for rabbits, this is true for ducks. So hunting seasons are actually really important, and they control the population. So you really could argue that most hunters are more of conservationists than a lot of other people. Now, on the flip side, some people take hunting season out of control, where they actually hunt things like tigers or elephants or different creatures like that that really don't have a large population. So we're talking about animals that have an overcrowding problem. We're not talking about animals that could potentially be endangered. So we call that poaching. If you hunt an animal that is endangered or on the watch list of their species numbers are not climbing, they're declining. We call that poaching. And there's some things like we saw with the bald eagle, but there's some animals that if you hunt them, you will get into very, very, very big trouble over it. But things like even wild boar. So wild boar, their population is out of control, but also, and so there actually is a reward, I believe, if you kill wild boar and coyotes. And some people might say that's cruel, that's just let them be. But coyotes and wild boar have been known, especially wild boar, have been known to actually be an extreme disturbance to humans and actually be potentially dangerous to humans and to children and to domesticated animals. So it's important, I think that there's a balance. There's, I think, animals that God intended for us to hunt and to use for food, and then there's animals that He's like, hey, don't touch those. So it's all in perspective of using the lens of stewardship and what God would have us to do with these beautiful animals, because we are called to protect them, but we also are allowed to use them as resources. We're allowed to use them as food, and clearly God knew that that was going to be a part of our lifestyle, because He used hunting as a way to actually control population and preserve that species. So anyways, the last thing I want to say is species management. So I have an amazing video posted for you guys. It's about the trophic cascade of the wolves in Yellowstone National Park. And it is all about how the wolves in Yellowstone actually changed the river in Yellowstone. This information is going to be on your test, so be sure that you watch it and you take good notes. Obviously, I'm not going to be crazy detailed about it, but if I were you, I would just know what was the path that was taken from wolves to changing the river. So make sure that you take good notes on that, and then we will review that on test review day. All right, guys, I will see you soon, and I hope you have a great weekend.